Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Hi, Foffit. You've reached Mel from Bella, the podcast that feels like a voice note from your best friend. Welcome to this week's episode of the podcast, because since we last spoke, guess who's going to Prague? This girl. I am going to Prague, booked it on Sunday, very last minute. Just decided that life is short and I want to go on holiday. I want to leave the UK. I want to have a little bit of a break. I want to see something that isn't Manchester. And so I'm going to Prague. Now, the only negative side of this is that it's not going to be the warmest of trips away. It's not going to be filled with sunshine. I lie. Tuesday, Wednesday should be quite sunny. Thursday, Friday, cloudy. But I just think it's going to be beautiful and quite cheap, which is the two things that I really wanted, because this is an extra holiday that was unplanned for, so I can't really afford the super bougiest of holidays, but I could afford £300, which is what this cost me. And so flights, accommodation, £300. We're staying in an Airbnb in Prague 7 because my friend used to live in Prague, and so gave me all the this is where you should stay and this is what you should do, and we're going to go to the opera. How exciting is that? I haven't packed anything for that, so I also just need to check that we can actually book those tickets, because it's only on the Tuesday and we land at 6 and the show is at 7, which feels a bit chaotic, and I'm not really sure I want to do that. And so we will see, but I'm going to Prague and I'm so excited. On top of that, I'm also going home this weekend, and I'm not saying it again after this, but I'm ill. And so if you see me swallowing a lot and just looking slightly like I'm swallowing shards of glass, no, this girl is not feeling great. She's not feeling her best, but we're going to ignore it, because once I leave Manchester, this illness becomes mental. Okay, it becomes a mental game where I decide I'm just not going to be ill, because I refuse to be ill for the bank holiday weekend, and I refuse even more to be ill for Prague. It's just not happening. And so after today, I won't be talking about my illness. Even if I feel worse, I won't be talking about my illness. It's not there. It's not coming with me home. It's just not part of me. But it is currently very much part of me, and I feel rotten. But it's okay. But it's fine. We are just going to ignore. We're just going to ignore. In light of that, I posted a reel of everything I did after work last week. I haven't left the house for 2 days. Okay? Just for a bit of a reality check. This week, I haven't left the house for 2 days. Is that a good thing? Probably not, but have I felt shocking? Yes. And I have no want to leave the house either. This is how I know I'm ill, because I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep. I don't want to do anything. Waking up this morning to go for a run wasn't happening. So rather than forcing myself to do all the things that feel like I should be doing, I've just accepted that I'm ill, and I've accepted that I'm not going to be able to do everything that I would normally do, and I haven't been going on my runs, and it's actually fine. Because when I hurt my hip 2 weeks ago from running, just ego running, running way too far and way too fast without enough training, it put me out for a week of running. I couldn't run then, because my ego was I can do this, it's fine, rather than listening to my body and thinking realistically. And I think I could do the same with this illness. Realistically, I can't. I could go for a run, but I need to rest and I need it to go, especially because it's feeling a bit sinusy. That is the worst case scenario. So I'm not going to go for a run, and I'm not going to deep it. And as much as I want to get a great time for the half marathon, keep having to remind myself I'm not a professional runner, and this is something that I'm doing for fun. Okay, I don't have to beat myself up over it, and I don't need to feel so nervous and anxious about it. I am doing it for fun, because I am getting quite nervous about it, because I really want to get a good time. But any time I get will be a good time, and that is what we are focusing on. I would say other exciting things I've done this week, but realistically I've done none. I have actually done nothing, and that is not the most fun to say, but it's truthful. I've really done nothing apart from watch TV and want to sleep and go to work, and I haven't really even been to the gym that much. And so this is a reminder that not every week is going to be packed full of things. Sometimes your energy is going to dip, and that is absolutely fine, but it's just not as fun to post on social media, and so you're probably not going to see it as much. But I'm here to be your reality check, and so I guess that's a positive thing. Other things I wanted to chat to you guys about: I'm on the 4th sister series, 7 sister series. Yeah, the 4th one now. I am liking it. I just really liked the 3rd one. And the 3rd one was my favourite one. And now I'm on the 4th one. I'm just not as big of a fan. I don't know. I don't know what it is about her story. I'm just not as invested in. But it is getting better. And I love how it focuses on really strong female characters. I think that's really good and interesting. And tells different stories from different people around the world. It's a really interestingly written book. And so I am enjoying it, and I'm going to persevere, but I just have a fear that number 3 will always be my favourite. And what if I found my favourite so early on? That's a concern. that is a concern. So if you guys have read them, I need to know what were your favourite ones and what did you love about them. And if you guys have any other good book series, I want a series, okay? I'm into my series at the moment. Tell me, because I have nothing after this. I mean, I do have a good 3 left, but I am going through them quickly. I'm going through them at 1 a week at this point. I literally was staying up late to read. I haven't done that in years. Like, I didn't want to go to sleep until I had got to a point. And so I need you to tell me any good book series that are keeping you guys up at night. Those are the kinds of things I want to know about. But on to the topic of this week's podcast episode, which is about exam stress and exam nerves and exam anxiety and kind of the changing of seasons that you're all in, because so many of you are facing exams at the moment. And with my advice column, which has replaced the question part of the podcast, which if you didn't know, I post a weekly advice column on my Substack called, like, the Substack's You've Got Mail from Bella, and it's linked in my bio. Did that just move? And you can enter any questions with a bit more context. You can send them via email to dearbellaadvice@gmail.com, and I will read them, and it might be featured as part of my blog. And so many of them recently have been about exam stress and people struggling with exams. And so I wanted to talk about it a bit more here, where I can actually be honest with you guys. This plant is getting so big that I can't even sit back. It's ridiculous. She's called Frankie, and she's just slightly too big. It's fine. It's fine. She's thriving, and she has so many new leaves coming, and it's kind of like, I don't know how to look after her, really. She's just doing slightly too well, and it's going to take over the living room. But let's ignore that. Exams are not my strongest suit. I hate them. I'm not one of these naturally really confident people in exams. You know, people who just don't get nervous and don't seem to be fazed by exams. I am the polar opposite. I will revise like it's a life or death situation. I will literally be cramming knowledge in. I will make sure, like, the way that I approached exams was just kind of not a positive one, and it's not one that I would recommend you guys did. I didn't know I had ADHD. If I'd have known that, I think I'd have been a lot more understanding of myself, and I'd have put systems in place that made me feel much more supported. But because I didn't know I had ADHD, I just kind of attacked everything in the most chaotic thing. Remember, it was maybe 6 weeks out or 8 weeks out, or maybe whenever you started revising, I got every single topic that I had to revise, and I worked out how many I had to do each day in order to make sure I could revise everything 3 times, to make sure I'd covered everything 3 times. Not once, not twice, 3 times. I'd have time to do all of the practice papers on every single topic, every single exam. I would have time to, I remember subscribing to this software that lets you watch like bite-sized explanations. It's called Snapfish, I think. Oh, I got Snap Revise. Why have I added fish to it? I don't know. Basically, it was like these tiny videos that explain different A-level topics and GCSE topics. And I was so worried that I just wasn't going to be able to know anything, that I was going to forget everything, that my mindset was, if I've covered absolutely everything, if I have burnt myself to the ground, then I'm going to be fine. Like, then I know I couldn't have tried any harder, and then I'll be okay with whatever I get. And using that mentality allowed me to excuse some really just, what was I thinking behaviour. I remember Mum coming into my room one time, and it was like maybe midnight, and she was like, Bella, you need to go to sleep now, you've got school tomorrow, you don't need to revise. And me just being in such a panic of being like, no, I have to revise, I have to get all of these things done, I have to be able to do it all now. And now I know I have ADHD, I'd be able to manage that expectation and realise it's okay. You don't one of the things with ADHD is not knowing how to prioritise tasks, not knowing what's important, not knowing how to place more value in something than other. It's not that you can never learn, it's just that it's something that you struggle with more. And so if I'd have known that now, like I do, I'd have given myself a much more realistic timetable. I'd have set boundaries in place, because I know that I have a tendency just to bulldoze past those boundaries and burn myself out. And the reality of burning myself out was that I was so exhausted, and I was so tired, and I was so on the edge of everything that I just felt so anxious all the time. And I was like, is this what it's going to be like? Is this what I'm going to feel like for every single exam situation? And then it was really interesting when I went into A-level, when I went into university, really struggled for the first year of that, with the exams, and I just found it really, really difficult. And then when COVID happened and we could have open book exams and I had more time to do things, as I would if I'd have had my ADHD diagnosis, all of a sudden I did well. And I got a first-class degree in the end, and I swear to God I would not have got this unless the entire exams, I was on track for a 2-2. Like, I would not have got a first if I had not had that extra time. That extra time meant that I could finally understand and like have time and feel calmer, because you had 24 hours to do the exams. And I didn't get diagnosed until I was 22, and I got diagnosed during my masters, and they were really supportive of like me having a diagnosis and struggle, because the masters was really hard. If A-levels were one level of hardness, universities was another. In my head I was like, well, a masters can't get worse than university. It's just going to be a continual, like, it's just going to be as difficult as third year. Oh no. It was more difficult. Like, it was so much more content. And so I realised that there was probably another reason why I was finding all of this so hard, and that's when I got diagnosed with ADHD. And I kind of look at my educational journey and how much I've struggled with exams throughout it all. Because exams, initially for me, they were a thing that I could work out how good I was at something. And I tended to think if I was good at something, that made me good, and if I was bad at something, that made me bad. And so much of my self-worth was validated through exam grades, which meant that exams weren't just intimidating and scary because it was an exam hall. They were also intimidating and scary because it said so much about me. Like, I'd always been the person who was like really good in school, and I was good in class, and I was good at tests, and I was like smart at these things. And so when I did bad, that image I had of myself also felt like it was breaking. I was like, well, what do I do if I'm bad at these things? That makes no sense. And the weird thing about all of it is that I didn't actually do that well in my A-levels. I know right now a lot of you will be at the GCSEs and A-levels point. I didn't do badly, but I didn't do as well. I was meant to get straight A's, and I got an A, B, and C. And because of that, I didn't get into my chosen university course. I didn't go through clearing. They just offered me a different one, and I just took it. So I didn't do the whole like ringing up. But I guess I kind of did go through clearing in a way. And it was strange because for some reason that was like a worst case scenario, that I didn't get onto my degree and I had to choose a different one, and it was all really awful. But it ended up being the best thing that could have happened to me, because they gave me a course that was way better, because whilst I was doing my A-levels, I hated chemistry. Hated it. I was really bad at it, and I just didn't get it. And I'd only chosen it because I just thought it made sense, because I'd done well at GCSE. I thought it'll be fine. But the issue was I'd kind of done all right in everything at GCSE. There wasn't like natural things I was just definitely good at. I was just really bad at French and drama. Ironic now that I have a podcast. But those are the only things that I was like definitely not doing. So I just picked the other things based off vibes, really. I was just like not really sure, and thought, yeah, do you know what? I'll do physics, biology, chemistry, and maths. Sorry, what was I thinking? Because then when I got into it, I realised dropping physics, that's horrific. That's basically maths times 2. Took up English literature, and as chemistry went on and on, I realised this was a bad decision. This was a really, really bad decision. I should not have picked 4 really hard ones. I should have picked one a bit easier one. And I think this is where I kind of look back at my decisions on my A-levels and GCSEs, and I didn't really think them through. I've never really thought anything through. And then I've just landed in these situations, and when it hasn't worked out and when I didn't get the grades, I was so shocked, because that hadn't happened before. I'd never done that. But it ended up being the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because I got put on a course that had no chemistry in, and I was so much happier. And it was weird because I bumped into people that were on the course that I was meant to be on, and I found out more about their timetable and what they were doing, and I knew I'd have hated it. And I think what I'm trying to tell you with these is like not to scare you that you're going to do bad, because you're not. You've worked really hard and you deserve to be confident in yourself. But sometimes things not going to plan, you not getting the grade that you wanted to get, can actually be a blessing in disguise. Because if I had got the chemistry grade, or if they had accepted me on with my lower grade, I wouldn't have been able to keep up with that course, and I would have been miserable and really sad, and I would have hated it. Okay, I would have hated it. But because I did okay, but like not quite at that level, I got put onto a different course that was better aligned with the grades that I got, that was better aligned with what I actually enjoyed and how well I was able to do something, which meant that I did way better overall, because it was more aligned with my actual skill set and the things I enjoyed. And that's why things not working out to how we think they are can actually be more in alignment with how we actually want them to work out in the long run. It just takes zooming out and seeing the bigger picture for us to realise that. So exams are terrifying and scary and nerve-wracking, but I need you to realise that they are not everything about you. That your grade in an exam, all it does is reflect how well you know a topic. It doesn't reflect anything about you as an individual. And I didn't realise that for so long. Even now, sometimes I don't realise that, and it's so silly because it means you put yourself forward for things and you try for things, and then when it doesn't go to plan, you beat yourself up, when in reality, you should be celebrating yourself in those moments for trying your best, for giving things a go that were hard, for feeling a bit scared and doing it anyway. And I really wish I'd learned that sooner, and I hope you learn this sooner. Just like, be proud of yourself for giving it a go, and try to remember you are ready. You have worked as hard as you can work, and that is all you can do. You can only try your best. And on the day of these exams, when you feel really nervous, or on results day, remind yourself, these exams aren't everything. Okay, you're a multidimensional human being. These exams only tell you your knowledge on a specific subject on a specific day. They don't say how great of a person you are, or how kind you are, or how funny you are, or what a great friend you are, or a sister, or a brother. They don't say anything about you as an individual. And it's really easy to skip over that because school makes us think it's everything, because it's everything we focus on for so much of our childhood. But it's not. There are many other elements to you too that deserve celebrating. And so I really, really hope you're kind to yourself. I hope you set a realistic revision timetable, and I hope you realise that the things you're doing right now, like, this is a hard chapter. Exams are tricky, but soon they will end and you'll have this whole summer to celebrate. And if you've enjoyed this episode, let me know, because I want to do an episode on exams finishing and kind of leaving school, but I want to do it in a couple of weeks, and so let me know if you think that is a good episode that you enjoy. But if you know anyone going through exams right now, please send this their way, because I struggle with them for so much, and I think I'd have really valued hearing someone older saying, like, I struggled too, and it actually worked out okay. Because life has a funny way of working out. Sometimes you don't realise it in the moment, sometimes you can't see the bigger picture, but when I look back, I realise how everything, in its own weird way, did fall into place, and that gives me so much more confidence about the future. But thank you so much for listening. Make sure that you send any longer form questions, situations, things that are keeping you up at night to dearbellaadvice@gmail.com, and I will read it and potentially post it on my Substack. Make sure you'll follow me on Instagram and on TikTok @mailfrombella, and I can't wait to catch up with you next week after I've been to Prague. Bye! Mwah.